I wanted to read something that I think should be put out there. This is on Repubican Pac, publishes security application of former CIA agent turned Democratic candidate. There is no low these people will not stoop to. So let's just look at how bad this actually is. Abigail Spanberger is a Democratic candidate in Virginia's 7th District and a former officer in the CIA. The Congressional Leadership Fund is a Republican super PAC associated with Paul Ryan, which plans to hand over $100 million to GOP candidates for the election this fall. But money isn't the only thing that the PAC is handing out. They've also produced the application Spanberger submitted in seeking security clearance with the CIA, making her personal information public. How the PAC obtained this form is an open and important question. According to the New York Times, the Republican Congressional Leadership Fund has both published the form with some personal information redacted and made it available to reporters. Security applications by their nature provide highly detailed background information. They may require that the person involved produce information on actions that could be potentially embarrassing, if not illegal. As an example, since obtaining Spanberger's form, a polling company connected with the Repubican PAC has conducted push polls asking voters if they would be less likely to support the Democratic candidate if she knew that the candidate had taught at a school funded by the Saudi royal family that had numerous students arrested for terrorism. The Repubican PAC has also put out a news release on this topic. Spanberger is currently running strongly against Republican Representative Dave Brat in what the GOP had regarded as a safe district. With a broad range of endorsements and support, this represents another district that Republicans are finding a challenge in 2018 after a series of walkover elections. So it's understandable that Republicans are desperate to find an edge. But the problem is this: where did they find it? The Congressional Leadership Fund claims that the form was obtained through an FOIA request, Freedom of Information Act request, to the post office, where Spanberger worked briefly while waiting for clearance from the CIA. But the version of the document and the fact that the copy was given to reporters seems to be unredacted. It does not square with the version that should be produced through a Freedom of Information Act request. In fact, the unredacted form cannot be released under the Privacy Act. The Democratic candidate has sent a cease and desist letter to the executive director of the Congressional Leadership Fund demanding that the PAC destroy all copies of the form and agree to not use the information in any fashion. And the real question boils down to, is someone within the White House handing out classified information to be used against Democratic candidates? The Richmond Times-Dispatch shows how Republicans are attempting to use even the controversy about how they obtained this document to harm Spanberger. A spokeswoman for the Congressional Leadership Fund replied to questions that it should surprise no one that Ms. Spanberger would want to hide from voters that she worked at a school that produced some of the world's most dangerous terrorists. Well, let's look at the reality of what actually took place. versus this really heinous spin that the Republicans are putting on it. Well, Spanberger was a substitute teacher at a prep school for wealthy students, filling in for a teacher on maternity leave between the time she finished her master's degree and before she took her post office job. No student she taught, let me see this again, no student she taught has been connected to terrorism in any way. She also waited tables. Republicans have not yet produced a news release claiming that she served a plate of eggs to Osama bin Laden, but there's still time for that, okay? Daily Kos Elections rated the VA7 race as leans Republican on August 22nd, and the Cook Report has moved the race to toss-up. So once again, we see that the Republicans will use any underhanded, devious method to skew elections, to dirty their opponents when there's nothing there at all. Okay? So again, we need to really, really be vigilant and get to the polls. We need to really get the House and the Senate back over to the Democrats so that we can make huge changes to these laws. One thing we should look at is these PAC interest groups, limiting their functions. Okay? So I'm going to leave this here. I'm going to continue to check into looking at these PAC special interest groups. And what just all the dirty money that the Republicans are using. Like I said, one of their biggest funders are Mercer's and the Koch brothers, okay? Big, huge supporters, and they're all for just big business. Again, they're funding for the Christian universities, okay? Which I highly doubt that they're even Christian anymore. These evangelicals that are reading the Bible interpreted by 666, okay? Because I don't see them really upholding the wisdom or the truth of what Christ was teaching, and then all of the other things that they have going in the law schools, trying to indoctrinate people into this federalism. Okay, so we have a lot of work to do, people. Don't get discouraged. Again, this is outing all the things, the dark little niggling shadows that are out there, and how they try to skew and spin things. Okay, that's how they get these conspiracy theories going. They skew and spin and put out absolutely, well, like Trump's field people like to say alternative facts, which are 100% made up lies to fuel their agenda. Okay? They have no morality, no integrity any longer. Okay? So how did the Republican Party go from one that's supposed to be built on laws and family to being the opposite of lawless? Okay, absolute lawless and haters. Okay, something to look into. How did it degrade so badly? So I'm going to leave this here. Thank you for tuning in. Again, people, don't get discouraged. Let's just look and see what's under the surface so we can dig it out, so we can shine light on it, and we can move forward and make a better society than this sludge that we're living through at the moment, okay? Thank you for tuning in. Have a great day. I will see you online. Aho!